Alright, this video is on the distributive property. What we want to remember with the distributive property is that it's basically multiplication. It's where you take one number value. It's going to be right outside of a set of parentheses. Sometimes it's out in front, like this example. Sometimes you may see the number behind the set of parentheses, not as common, but you might see it there. And the idea is that we want to distribute or multiply the 4 by both the x and the 2, by those two separate terms. So we do this thing called distributing, where we take the 4, first we multiply it with the x. 4 times x is 4x. And now we have to separately multiply the 4 with the 2. It's a 4 times, now this 2, because it says plus 2, that is a positive 2. And 4 times positive 2 is a positive 8, so we're going to write plus 8. Now 4x and 8 are not like terms, we cannot combine those. One has an x, one does not, so we are going to leave that as our final answer. So just remember it's multiplication. Moving to the right, this next example with the 5 on the end, if you prefer you can rewrite the problem with the 5 out front so it looks like most of the problems that you'll see when you distribute. Again, this is multiplication, so you multiply the 5 with the x. 5 times x is 5x, and then the 5 times a positive 1. 5 times positive 1 is positive 5, so we write plus 5. And that will be our answer on this one. Now usually students do well with distributing to the first term. If you look at our next example, we have this negative 2. We're going to multiply negative 2 times m, which is a negative 2m. And where the mistakes always happen is multiplying the negative 2 to the second term. It's very common to not pay close attention to the signs and end up with a wrong answer. So you really want to pay attention. We have a negative 2 times a positive 10. A negative times a positive will be negative. So I'm going to put minus, and then 2 times 10 is 20. So minus 20, and you can see that is a negative 20, so negative 2m minus 20. Alright, moving to the right, we have negative 3 times m. Again, no one messes that up, that's negative 3m. And now we have a negative 3 times, so this one's a negative 3, and this 5 is a negative 5. That subtraction makes it negative. So in this case, we have a negative times a negative, which gives us a positive. So I'm going to write down plus, and 3 times 5 is 15. See how fun distributing is? You had no idea, huh? Alright, last row. Now this negative out front of our bottom row here, it's really helpful if you just put a 1 right in front of your set of parentheses. What that does is it gives you a number to actually distribute. So we're going to take negative 1 and multiply it by x. Negative 1 times x is negative 1x. You also could just write a negative x if you prefer. Now we're going to distribute to the second term, being very careful not to mess this one up, because that's the one people usually mess up. So this is a negative 1 times a negative 7. Negative times negative is positive, and 1 times 7 is 7. So you could have a negative 1x plus 7, or if you prefer just the negative x, you just want to make sure you have that plus 7. Either of those answers work. They are the exact same thing. Alright, last example over here. If you choose to leave the 4 in the end, I know up at the top we rewrote and put the 5 out front. This is fine, just make sure you're doing this correctly. You always want to distribute to the first term first. So we're going to take the 4 and we're going to multiply it with the x. 4 times x is 4x. And now we multiply to the second term. 4 times, now this 8 is negative. So we have a positive 4 times a negative 8 gives us a negative. Positive times negative is negative 32. If you prefer to rewrite this, just put that 4 out front. Leave the x minus 8. Don't change anything on the inside. And then you can distribute from there. Here's your 4 times x to get 4x. 4 times negative 8 is negative 32. And that is distributing.